What's up, y'all? We're feeling fall today. It's 63 degrees outside of my house right now. If you're new here, I am a native Floridian who spent 12 years in Texas, so trust me, I fully appreciate my cool weather privilege at the moment. So today we're gonna be doing a good old-fashioned trying new makeup video. These are not all exclusively from one place. I have the new Glossier foundation. I did a poll on my Instagram to see which foundation y'all wanted me to use today, and this won by a landslide. I have a couple of drugstore products. Oh, who is she? She's so relatable. She's so grounded. To balance it out, I also have the other colors of the Chanel stuff that I've been loving lately from the fall collection. So before I used the mauve, but y'all can, well, I convinced me and then y'all reinforced it, but I ended up picking up the coral one as well and a matching eyeshadow. But I mentioned recently, I'm on the Auric PR list now. They sent me a bunch of really great stuff, and so I have some eyeshadows from them that I think I want to use today. I have the new RMS highlighter. Gonna give this a whirl today. Oh, and I took questions on my Instagram. So let's go ahead and jump in. Now, as much as I love any kind of glowy product to prep my skin, I think we're gonna go straight in with the Glossier today because I just know how many people are curious exactly how this is going to perform. So I ended up getting the shade Light 2, and I was pretty nervous about it when it arrived because doesn't that look like it is going to be so riding the line of whether or not it's going to match? For a neutral, I do find it to be, ever so slightly olive. I have very sensitive color theory eyes, so that is something that I personally noticed. I was afraid that this shade was going to be wrong for me, but due to the stretch meaning it's gonna stretch across your skin, it's gonna really sheer out. Could I please inhabit my body? That would be great. I just feel like once I get it all on, it's really not a big deal. But you can see it's a little bit olive. Like, could I have gone for Light 1? Probably, and it would have been fine. I also went ahead and ordered a new stretch concealer in the Light 2 shade because I was like, well, we'll see. Plus, I really think my stretch concealer is like super expired. Like, I've had it for so long, and I have it in G11, I think, which was their second lightest shade at the time. So either way, we're gonna be using all of those, and it does kind of, like, yes, it matches, but it kind of cheats a tan on me just a little bit. Now, I wore this yesterday. That was the first day that I did like a full day wear test on it. By the way, that's one pump. I kind of feel like one pump is just right because when you layer it up, it gets soupy. It's pretty, but it gets really, really dewy and kind of soupy, and that's fine, but I just feel like it diminishes the wear time. So yesterday was the first day that I wore it for a full day, but it was like the least accommodating circumstances. Like, it was a day that I traveled into the city. It was wildly inclement when I was on my way in. It was just like pouring down rain. I was in a rush. I really just like don't know if I did the best job applying it, you know? And so it just didn't wear for very long. It really broke up on me, and like, it was pretty where it didn't break up, but it was not particularly faithful across the whole day. So hopefully we have a better experience with it today, but I would definitely say less is more with this foundation because it does have its own lovely glow to it, and not like even an iridescence, but just like the same way that the stretch concealer has a beautiful hydrated skin kind of radiance to it, so too does the foundation, and I'm pleased to see that because if I'm not putting a fine enough point on it, let me go ahead and do so. It's exactly what I was hoping for. It's exactly what I was expecting in a foundation that claims to be part of the stretch concealer now, you know, collection line. So I really like it. The only question I have right now is on wear time because, you know, Glossier is not necessarily known for their wear time on the whole anyway. They've always been dewy makeup that I feel like is supposed to wear in instead of wearing off kind of thing. And it's a matter of like the elegance of how well it wears in to me. I'm gonna still use a sponge on this. Actually, I'm gonna go in with a brush because my nails, I'm getting my nails done right after this, and like, we are chopping them down. Like, they have been too long since I got them done. So yeah, I can't get my finger in the pot without getting a bunch of concealer underneath my fingernail. And I don't know if y'all have noticed, I can't find my words right now. Last night was the full moon, and we are in Mercury retrograde. We are in Uranus retrograde. We are still in Venus retrograde. Saturn is retrograde. Is Pluto retrograde? Neptune? Something like that. I don't know. I think we've got 7 planets retrograde right now. Look at the coverage though. I just love how elegant that coverage is because it's like not this like really difficult to blend or like high contrast shellacking. It just camouflages things in the easiest way. And by the way, this is the A506 from BK Beauty. And it's a fantastic concealer brush. Again, can't find my words this morning. Ooh, just lovely. And again, with the stretch concealer as well, it's very less is more. I think that Glossier, while their marketing, I feel like, or like their brand kind of visual identity has not done an amazing job of growing alongside its audience of just being like, hey, millennials are like, some of us are, you know, late 30s, early 40s at this point. What they have done is make products that not only fit an aesthetic that appealed to me when I was in my 20s, but also something that really benefits maturing skin that's starting to like dry out and do things that it didn't used to do. And less is more coverage that has kind of a skincare appearance to it can be really nice. That is another thing about this foundation is that it's like something like 98%, I don't know, 90% maybe, something like that, skincare ingredients. So it is supposed to be really like beneficial for your skin and hydrating and all that. But that might also contribute to less wear time because there's performance and then there's skincare. They're not always the same thing. Let's take a question while I do my bronzer and my contour and my powder. I'm gonna use the same ones that I always do because we don't have anything new in that respect. So I'm gonna use my light colored bronzer. I will probably go in with my Gucci bronzer and then we're gonna use the Charlotte Tilbury powder contour from the Filmstar Bronze and Glow. Can you talk about your jewelry adornment journey? How did you know body mod was for you? What a great question. Like what a good kind of expository question. No agenda, just curious. Like I appreciate that. I'm gonna start with a little bit of powder here. I got home last night and my kiddo, he's so cute. He got into all the makeup that I brought with me. He looks at me and he goes, I want to dump it. And he dumped all my makeup and then he kept using this brush to like, he opens everything up and he marvels at it. He says, wow, you know, and he's like, he'll put like one cute little finger in there and just like wipe it on his own forehead or whatever. Well, he took this brush and stuck it in gosh darn everything, including the Moondust eyeshadow in Space Cowboy from Urban Decay. And he just pummeled it in there and then just like batted it all over his forehead, but like kind of like this. And so he ended up with like blush, 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 and he also ran his whole hand over the Glow Play blush from MAC because he's like really into that texture because who isn't? And I mean, he just kept petting it and I was like, okay, now your hand is purple. But yeah, and then just like glitter all over his forehead. And I was like, I love you to pieces, you're the best. And then he put them all back. He's just such a good kid. Anyway, we're gonna powder and we're not gonna use the Melt Cosmetics powder. Maybe I'll use, no, I have a highlighter today. Thank you for coming on that journey with me, but no, I'm just gonna use my Kosas. So my body modification journey started when I was 10 years old. Now my mom made me wait until I was 10 to get my ears pierced. That was like the most agonizing wait of my life. I remember it was like, all I wanted was to have my ears pierced. I really like credit my grandmother, my dad's mom, for getting me into adorning myself. I don't know, she always had a bunch of gold jewelry on, like a bunch of bracelets and everything, and she just loved jewelry and she loved feeling, you know, opulent, right? And I have always kind of gotten my maximalism from her. You know, she always had a lot of like really great fashion and perfumes and just, you know, girly, luxurious things at the time. Like that was how I felt about them. And I have kind of at the end of the day always been about that kind of thing. Like I just love the feeling of luxury, in case you hadn't noticed, or if you're new here. But then, plot twist. You know, I went into high school and I went into my rebellious phase, which I think I'm probably still in. I decided when I saw my friend Susan, she had, you know, her earring holes were bigger than regular earring holes and she had like some, you know, pink, like, you know, lucite kind of plugs in them or whatever from like Hot Topic or something. And I just thought that that was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. I just gravitated straight towards that. There was like no decision in my mind. I was like, that is exactly the cross-section of the angst that I'm feeling and how hard I want to like differentiate myself from my peers. I mean, it felt like a no-brainer. And the beauty of, this is not what I meant to pull, this is a blush. The beauty of stretching your ears when you're that age. And don't gross out. We cleaned them. We always sanitize them. But like, as your friends stretch, they don't need those plugs ever again in their life. So you go from like a 16 gauge to a 14 gauge to a 12 gauge to a 10 gauge to an 8 gauge, you know what I mean? And then you get into like the actual like, you know, millimeter or inch sizes or whatever. And as someone stretches past an 8, they can give you their 8s. And as someone stretches past their 6s, they can give you their 6s kind of thing. And so that was what we all, like not all of us, but a few of us ended up doing. And it was just something that like I was interested in experimenting with. And it was something that like, as I had in other ways, like I always really wanted to alter my appearance. Like I was just very interested in that. And I remember I wanted to color my hair. My mom wouldn't let me color my hair any kind of weird colors. And so I just like chopped all my hair off one day. I also ended up like cutting a lot of my friends' hair and stuff like that. So I feel like my mother got very used to seeing me come out of my room every morning and like just something was different, something was new. And my parents had just gotten divorced at that point too, like, I don't know, a few years earlier. And like, I was trying to settle into a very uncomfortable adolescence with a lot of change in my life. And I think that it was kind of my way of trying to control things, was to control my appearance. I was like, okay, this is something that I have some sense of control over. And I didn't have like a lot of disposable income to control my appearance with. And so I just kind of took matters into my own hands with what I had, you know, things that were free and accessible and I could get them from my friends, and, you know, cutting my hair with scissors and things like that. So all of those things are relatively free. As I like stretched my ears, I just loved the way that it looked. Also, my ears don't love jewelry. Like my ears don't love metal jewelry. And so you'll see like most of the stuff that I keep in there, I don't really change out, because like when I find something that works, I just leave it there, you know, because I never know what she's gonna hate. But as you get older, you have to kind of like keep stretching your ears a little bit. And I have thought like, oh, I need to stretch my ears one more time. And I've bought the next size up, but I am a 9/16, and let me tell you, a 1/2 inch is a lot bigger than this size. Like 9/16, 10/16, reduce the fraction, 5/8. 5/8 is a lot bigger. I'm past an inch. I mean, I'm past a 1/2 inch. Can someone please just come like organize my brain? Just hard restart. Like it's a leap. And so I own those plugs, and my ears, I don't think they'll ever actually be that size. And I consider getting them closed up. If like the opportunity arose and it wasn't wildly expensive, I think I would do it. You know what I mean? If it was like a doctor I trusted or whatever. You know, I'm 36 years old. They've been stretched since I was 15. I don't feel like it would be a regret move. I think I've gotten my mileage out of them at this point, but I also just really like what they kind of add to my look. It's kind of this like signal to people that's like, even though I'm cosplaying as this like, I don't know, like waspy individual in some ways, like this is like the signal to people. It's like, oh no, that's a scene kid, okay? Like she's got some body mods. So the other thing is my nose piercings. So that was something where I was like 18 years old, and like, again, I ran with a crowd that all had, like, not all, but like we were just, you know, we were really cool. Like a bunch of like show going people and stuff like that. I was from the town that I went to college in, like I stayed. And so all of my friends were like new to me. They all kind of moved in from out of town. And so I'm like showing them around town and everything. And I remember my friend Jordan, he had the snake bite piercings or whatever, and he wanted to get the jewelry changed out. And we went, and I got my ears stretched and my nose pierced in like one go. I was a hairstylist, and so it was like I went from having no money to suddenly having some money. Right when I started college, I was making like $500 a week. You know what I mean? Like something just like amazing. And that was even pre-tax, which came as a big surprise to me later on. Self-employed at 18, wouldn't recommend it. But you know, I felt like I had disposable income at the time, going in and being like, okay, well, I'm going to have that kind of satisfying sense of control. That's always what it's been for me, is a control thing about my appearance, and also like a dopamine hit of like, oh, new. I like new. Like I like change. I'm an Aries. I just like change. And so I got one side of my nose pierced when I was 18. I wore it for a long time. And then right before I moved out of my hometown, I got the other side pierced, and I was a perfectionist about it. She pierced it once, and then I said, those are lopsided. And I grabbed the pen from her, you know, respectfully. And I made her pierce it again because I was like, I am not going to have lopsided nose piercings. I forget that they're there, and when I remember that they're there, I remember how completely obsessed with them I am. And I was wearing just like the piercing jewelry in it for the longest time, and then I decided to go, I don't know, last year maybe 2 years ago, I went for the gold, and I'm so glad because all the other jewelry that I wear is gold, and it was like surgical steel, and I just like didn't vibe with like all the other stuff that I wear, and so I'm so glad that I went with gold. And I just like things that are installed. That's kind of my vibe. Like I love the feeling of something that just like doesn't have to be removed every day. And then I guess I also like to wear things that like do need to be removed every day because I like still have rings and stuff like that. But I do think that it all goes back to my grandma. Like she just always loved having like rings on every finger and kind of looking like a fortune teller, you know what I mean? And like that's always kind of been something that appealed to me as well. I just felt like it was cool. It was like gives off cool energy. I love gold. And like the more I put on, the better I feel kind of thing. So, all right. Let's do this Chanel blush here, shall we? So I will go ahead and swatch it against the mauve in case you are curious, because the mauve is the one that keeps selling out. It's, I think, just a rarer kind of color for people. It's something that, you know, a lot of people are in pursuit of, is something that's like got that much desaturation to it. Y'all saw me put it on in a recent video with Boy, which is this lipstick. And while they're not exactly the same color, they definitely have the same energy. Like this is so sheer that it kind of ends up matching up with this. And the way that they both go on is like courageously cool toned. You know, it's like riding a line of what I can get away with. And I think that the reception of it was very positive. Like across the board, everybody was like, no, that looks great. The other one here, and you can see that I've used it a lot already. In fact, the embossing has gone on it pretty much. I've only had it for like, I don't know, I got it last Friday, so almost a week. So this is the coral, and like I was afraid that it was going to be too orange, and the swatch does look really orange, but I think it only looks orange in comparison to the mauve. Like the fact that all the marketing photos put them together makes it seem like it's gonna be really orange. Orange isn't even a bad thing necessarily. I just didn't think I could wear orange, but I can wear this. So let's put it on. Oh, it's giving fall. The pumpkin spice latte came back. I have only had one pumpkin spice latte in my entire life, and it was one of the like full strength ones, you know what I mean? Like order a pumpkin spice latte, like they're gonna give it to you with all the syrup. It was not the most appealing experience. I did not love it. And I am a bigger fan of the holiday drinks than I am the fall drinks from Starbucks. And I don't think that Starbucks hung the moon either, but like even just thematically, I would much rather have something that has like peppermint in it than pumpkin. I'm just not a fake pumpkin kind of girly. I mean, I love spice. I love like chai spice. That's my fall drink, is chai, like a chai latte. Girl, I could go off on chai. Like I love it so much. So it's not so much that I don't love like the fall spicy vibe. It's that I just don't really like fake pumpkin. That's just where I'm at. But I don't know if they've ever done it since. I don't really keep up that closely on this stuff, but the Starbucks drink, they did one that was a ginger snap graham cracker. There was one that was like graham cracker, and they actually put like graham cracker on the top of it. What the heck was that? It was off the charts. It was so good. It was so good. So all of their like, I don't know, the ones that are kind of cookie based, I like those, but I don't know. It's just also not something I go out of my way to do, is go to, you know, we actually don't have Starbucks very close by. We have a lot of Dunkin', but not a lot of Starbucks. Like I would have to be at, you know, Penn Station or something to even care. So that's the coral, okay? Like, kind of fantastic. It's just kind of fantastic. I don't know. It's like once I get done with my makeup, I'll probably put more on. It's so good, and I really like the finish of these blushes. I really, really like it. It's so smooth and blurred and easy. Like my brush, especially after my child had his way with all of my makeup last night, like I can feel that these need to be cleaned, and it went on so smoothly. So really speaks to the formula. And if you want to do some bimbo girl math on this is a me and Tom thing, I guess. But you know, Tom sends me these TikToks about girl math. Like I said, you know, the compacts that they were selling that are sold out are $45 and these are $65, so you're basically getting a $20 blush. You know, your girl also got some eyeshadow. Where is it? I remember I hid it from Simon because I was like, there are just some things that I cannot trust you with. This is the Ombre Premier Libre Loose Eyeshadow in 406, and I will have to just put the name on the screen because I don't remember what it is. Someone did say yesterday, we were talking about how hard it is to pronounce French if you don't have any, you know, like experience or exposure to like the French accent as an American, because it's just such a different group of muscles. Like, I'm horrible at pronouncing French, and somebody goes, yeah, that's why they put numbers on everything from Chanel so that you don't have to sit there and embarrass yourself. So 406. And the reason that I did this one is just because it is tonal. Y'all know tonal is my comfort zone. It's tonal against this blush. So it's got the same kind of beautiful copper thing to it, you know, with a good bit more sheen. And just so that you can see it against Sycamore, because I did go ahead and buy both, so why not? Talk about like surprising myself. Did I think I was going to buy more of these Chanel single eyeshadows? No, I did not. No, I did not think that that was going to happen. Also, I think that it's Defiance or Temper. Temper, I think it's Temper from Auric that kind of has the same color vibe. So I think that that might be like at least the topper that we tried to use today. I'm not sure how much eyeshadow I'm actually going to be able to fit on my eyeballs today. There it is. So that's the cream, which I don't think I need today. And there's the topper. So I think that the topper is going to be on par with what we're doing. So is this the most practical application method for an eyeshadow? No, it is not. No, it is not, but did that stop me? Absolutely not. Just make sure that you tap off the excess, you know. Somebody said it feels like you're playing with kid makeup, or like watching me felt like I was playing with kid makeup, or I don't know, that it was just like a complete non-starter. You are perfectly entitled to your opinion, and I don't really think you're wrong. But I don't mind it. I kind of dig it. I don't know. It's like you get all the eyeshadow on, and then it blends really well. The only thing that, you know, I think is a little annoying is just that it could possibly fall out everywhere, but if you tap it off, you don't end up with any fallout. All right, going in with a 202 here from BK. This is really just a quick way to get a smoky eye on, you know? Let's grab another question. What is your go-to playlist at the moment? I don't know, I'm such like a music-oriented person, but it's like hardly ever new music. So it's like, you know, people are like, oh, do you like to go to festivals? I'm like, no, you don't understand. You don't understand. My playlists of like my life, the music like starts at like 9 years ago, and that is the most recent, you know? And then it's like, you know, most of the time I'm looking at the songs that I want to include in like my shorts and stuff like that. And I'll find like the music video on YouTube and I'm like, why is this in 360p? You know, because that was the best we could do at the time on YouTube, because it's just that old. It's like a 13-year-old song, you know? And so what I have been doing lately to kind of try and branch out a little bit is, you know, listen to kind of the newer releases from some of my favorite artists who are still making music, which a lot of them aren't. But, you know, somebody like Andrew Bird, I feel like that man, he never runs out of ideas. All of his music is just beautiful. And so I've been listening to a lot of Andrew Bird. He did not have to go that hard on fake palindromes, but he did go that hard on fake palindromes, and I just want to commend him for that. I think that we're going to use the blush in my eye look here. It's going to get vaguely threatening, and like I'm okay with that. We'll probably pull in a little bit of something brown or cool or something. I don't know, bring it less threatening, but still, I'm okay with it. I also have a playlist that I share periodically. I don't really add to it, but it's enormous already. I will occasionally link to it on my stories when I'm feeling particularly obsessed about something. And that is called Best College Radio. And I mean, I should put a date on it. Best College Radio 2005 to 2009, you know, because it was a very specific time period. And I did have a fantastic college radio station. At Florida State, we have V89, and it's like all student run. And like you could always find new music on V89 that was just so freaking good. When I was in college, like unicorns had just become islands, and We had Crystal Castles. We had, I mean, that was the beginning of MGMT, but we also had Girl Talk, like the first big, you know, big Girl Talk tours. Rat-a-tat. Let me just read off some of the artists that are on here, because this is like the one that it's my go-to. It's just my comfort playlist. So we got Mates of State, Rat-a-tat, New Pornographers, Destroyer, Animal Collective, Strawberry Jam came out when I was in college. So good. Neutral Milk Hotel, Beirut, Fruit Bats, Centromatic, Beulah, Mountain Goats, Parts and Labor, Tullycraft, which that's a really old song, Caribou. Oh, what a great live show. Thank you for asking about this so that I could sit here and like, you know, swoon about my own dumb stuff here. Of Montreal, who I love so much. The Thermals, Decemberists, Unicorns, Islands, Starlight Mints, that's a lot older. Band of Horses. Oh, the way Band of Horses defined my college time. Clap your hands, say yeah. John Vanderslice. What an amazing human. What an amazing human. Talk about a nice person. What a cool guy to see live if you ever get the opportunity. Wolf Parade. Arcade Fire, which I'm not even that big of an Arcade Fire fan. They were actually the last band that I saw live though. That was like not that long ago. Tapes and Tapes, Spoon, Malajube, Devendra Banhart, Tilly and the freaking Wall, Rogue Wave, Yuck, Hot Chip, Panda Bear, Washed Out, Mitski, Fantagram. And then I've got some car seat headrest on there, which that's much more recent. But The Anniversary, which is older, Death Cab, Deer Hoof, Justice vs. Simeon, LCD frickin' sound system, just some of the most important stuff that's ever happened. Beach House, Junior Boys, Black Moth, Super Rainbow, The Faint. The Faint. I can link that playlist for y'all below because it's just highly concentrated excellence. It really, really is. So thanks for asking. But also I do have like some cheesy, you know, stuff that I like too. I made a spring playlist that I ended up listening to over and over and over again. And I mean, it had some like really like goofy, fluffy stuff on it. So anyway, just go follow me on Spotify. Let's put on some of this Auric in Temper here. I wonder, yeah, I'm not gonna go in with the cream. That would just be a hot mess. But I will take this beautiful topper. It's just like a really pretty, you know, tonal, spangly topper. Wet look. And yeah, it kind of is a powder version of the Hindash Color Fluid and Boy Tears. That's what I would compare it to. Very, very pretty. And like, what's more vaguely threatening than just like reddy pink eyes? Reddy pink eyes that have a wet look finish. Like, girl, what have you been doing? And then we're gonna go with this RMS highlighter because I also wanna see if I can use it as a highlight on like my inner corner as well. And they sent a brush, but this thing, it doesn't really pick any highlighter up. I don't know. It doesn't really pick any highlighter up. I don't know. Boop. I like that it's as like gentle as it is because it doesn't seem to want to disturb, you know, what's underneath it. But like, I have no idea if that's actually picking up any highlighter. I don't think that it is. I'm gonna use something, I'll use the Rare Beauty highlighter brush because it's just like a little bit denser. Like, it just seems like it's a little more committed. I don't know. They did only come out with one shade in this, but my friend Monica likes it and she's dark skinned, and so I assume, you know, it's working for people. It's not too gold for me. I will be interested to see if it's too gold to use on my inner corner though, because that is the big test. Let's see. It's a little too dark. It's a little bit too dark for that. And my God, it's stiff. Good grief. I'm gonna put some up here. Like, I couldn't get it to like pick up. I actually had a dream that I didn't get everything out of the box. And they told me, they're like, no, there's actually also a liquid highlighter in there. And that it was like a version of this that was a liquid and it was like even better. I don't know. I'm pretty like whelmed by that. I'm pretty whelmed by that. Not that I want to be like blinded by a highlight, but I actually don't even know if it did anything, you know? Okay, I'm gonna do my brows and my mascara and everything, but also, so that you don't have to sit here and watch me do it, I'm also gonna put a little bit of this like contour right on my outer corner so that we can dampen down a little bit of the shimmer in the crease. But yeah, we will come back and we'll just finish the look out. I feel like I'm not done with my cheeks yet, but I haven't decided yet. And then we will also decide on a lip. Actually, I realized maybe I should use this as an opportunity to answer a question. Of course, this is kind of what me and Tom talk about on the podcast all the time, is trying to make anything coherent come out of your mouth while you're doing eye makeup or while you're doing mascara specifically is a huge challenge, but bear with me, let's see. Weird one, does Mercury retrograde affect dogs? I work in a daycare and I swear to God this week. So this is actually a really funny question because I absolutely think so. I don't know so much about like every single dog or whatever, but my old dog Ollie, he was so affected by it. Every single time it was Mercury retrograde, something would happen with him where he would just decide, I'm going to just take your legs out from under you and like really severely hurt you. Like we'd be on a walk, you know, out in a neighborhood, and so he would just like decide out of nowhere, boom, and he like never did stuff like that, but he was like 80 pounds, so he could, you know, and he would just take my knees out from under me and I would fall flat on the pavement. Or one time I was walking him and it was during Mercury retrograde and he just decided out of stinking nowhere that he was going to run all the way up a neighbor's porch, dragging me the whole way there because this dog was mostly bloodhound, so you do not let go of the leash. The dog will be gone. He just will. He drags me all the way up, and we lived in a really nice neighborhood. We lived in a hovel, like across the street from the UT basketball coach in his like $3 million house. We were living in like a 1-bedroom house, like next door to the guy who owned the Silk Road. It was just a very interesting place that we lived. But either way, so see, and I did it. I just like went into screensaver mode because I'm blending my eyeliner. Yeah, he dragged me all the way up this very like nice front porch, and they had these huge like planters. Knocked into a planter, like knocked me into a planter. I fell and like cut myself on the ceramic of this giant planter. And I just like, there was no other explanation for what had happened. He was not spooked by anything. He was not, I don't know, in any other way. Like, it didn't even seem like he was alarmed. He just decided, like, we're running up that hill, we're running up that building, we are going to smash this. And yeah, I don't know, dude. Clearly I don't actually know, but in my experience, yeah, dogs do seem to be affected by Mercury retrograde. They just get weird. So the collab is gone like forever. Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, there might be like an archive someday or whatever, but like we haven't really like planned for it. I'm gonna use the Yenza eyeshadow. It's not eyeshadow, it's an eyebrow pencil. We're gonna use that in blonde. So yeah, my Finding Ferdinand collab, we had to put a cap on it because of just the nature of like being, you know, a small business. Like they have to be able to kind of like plan for one thing at a time. We have a ton of pre-sale orders that are gonna go out at the end of September. I know that that's a wildly long time to wait and I'm so sorry, but it's literally one pigment that we're waiting on in order to be able to mix them and make them for y'all. There will be, you know, future, obviously like future releases between me and Finding Ferdinand because I feel like we work together so well and I do have a lot of ideas. But Summer Abroad is currently, yeah, it's in the vault at the very least. I love that brow pencil. You recently mentioned lots of stress and big changes. How are you feeling now? I'm feeling pretty good. I am feeling like I have, you know, it's really given me the opportunity to do a lot of like personal growth. I think that in so many ways we get in like grooves in our life and forget to check back in with ourselves and with our own needs, and what it does is it starts to kind of slowly erode what we think we deserve in terms of just like our own quality of life, you know, having nothing to do with anybody else, just like our day-to-day, like how much we should be focusing on our own happiness kind of thing. And I have just made some cool moves in my life. I am still kind of trying to figure out whether I want to stay on this antidepressant or like get on a different one. I need a new doctor. Like my doctor just doesn't really seem to know enough about it. Like no shade, but like he's kind of a new doctor and like I just feel like he doesn't know as much as like a lot of my like nursing friends and stuff like that, you know? So I think I'm gonna go to a new doctor. And then I joined a yoga studio, which was huge. So, you know, I've been practicing yoga at home for years and years and years. And I really took advantage of the hormones that happen that help you get more flexible It's called Relaxin, I think is what it's called. I did a lot of prenatal yoga through the Down Dog app. That's how I was training at home. I absolutely recommend the Down Dog app. It's so awesome. I love it so much. I have, you know, been with it for so many years and everything that like things were just kind of starting to plateau for me. And I also just felt like I needed some community. But since, like I said, you know, pregnancy gives you this relaxin hormone and it makes you more flexible so that your hips can open and things like that. And I just, after I had Simon, I was just like, I'm gonna chase that feeling. Like I can touch my toes comfortably for the first time in a long time. Like I'm gonna just kind of chase that feeling. And so I did. And I am in like the best holistic shape of my life right now. And by holistic, I mean, you know, I've been skinnier. But if you know me, you know that that's not a good thing for me. Like that's just not good. And like I did lose like 10 pounds earlier this year. I have not weighed myself because I have not been to the doctor in a while. That was the only time that I weigh myself. I don't weigh myself at home because it's the same reason I can't have a Fitbit. I obsess. I can tell just by my own habits for one thing, but also just the fact that like my body feels ridiculously strong. Like I have been, I'll get into my yoga practice, like I'll get into the studio and I only go to this one teacher because of just the way that the schedule works out. Like it's the only one that like is available during the day. That's the kind of yoga that I want to do. So it's like I have been going to this yoga studio for like 2 months now and I've only ever taken a class with the same person. And so I'm like, I come in and I just like give him updates. I'm like, really feeling this like new muscle group in my back. He's like, neat, khaki. I'm like, that's great. All his back bends were awesome. He's like, awesome, glad to hear it. You know what I mean? Not in an unpleasant way, but he's just very like, have we discussed this before? You know, but if you watch watch or listen to the podcast, you know, I'm just out to be my yoga instructor's favorite all the time. But I have gained new skills in yoga and let me tell you, if you need a mood boost, go get a new skill. Go find one. They are just great. I can't recommend new skills highly enough. It really not just like makes you feel like you're not oxidizing. Like by a certain age, society starts to tell you that you're like devolving, you know, you're just disintegrating. The word I couldn't find there was deteriorating. Mercury retrograde has stolen all of my words. Deteriorating. There's something about learning a new skill, especially a new physical capability, that makes you go, ha ha, not yet, life, not yet, society, you know? I haven't peaked yet, you know? You won't catch me. Putting a little bit more of my blush. But like, I didn't know I had side crow. I didn't know I could go from a headstand down into a side crow. I didn't know that I had all these cool like capabilities and that I'm really strong. That part feels so good. Like, and not just in like an aesthetic way, but in just like a, hey, you took care of yourself this week kind of way. I don't know. It's like these little tiny investments that you make in your own well-being. And by virtue of the fact that you're doing them instead of doing something else, you are inherently like improving your life. You're replacing what could have been something blah or negative or inconsequential with something that is cool and positive and consequential and good in your life. And it's sort of working. Let's do a little clear brow gel and we can move on to lips. Rattly Natalie, who and why? People who come later to my channel and that you don't see the inception of things, I feel bad sometimes because, I don't know, it's just like mostly stupid. Like I don't want you to feel like you're on the outside of a joke because it's so stupid. This is the BK108. It's one of my favorite brushes and she's Rattly Natalie because she rattles. And I don't know why she rattles. Something in there just started rattling one day and my brain makes things rhyme and I was like, Rattly Natalie? I told you, it's stupid. That's it. That's the whole joke. You're all caught up. You know what this needs? This needs berry freckled pen. Do you experience anxiety? And if so, how do you manage? Because woof, I'm going through it. Klonopin. No, when I was having a really, really tough time earlier this year, I did reach out to my doctor and I was like, I'm having acute panic. Like, I don't really know like what to do about it. I feel like I'm just, you know, in over my head to some extent. And so I did reach out to my doctor and y'all saw me one time. I think I had taken like a half of a Klonopin or something on video. And it was like one of my first times trying it. And like, it worked on the panic attack, but it also made me just like so chill. And I take it now and that's not the case. I don't have like that kind of like, you know, total like blank out relaxation kind of thing, but it does make a huge difference. I also have Xanax. I don't take Xanax really because I don't like how kind of like quick it is. It kind of, if I'm really, really anxious, it kind of drops me off really fast and I'll get like even more upset sometimes. But yeah, Klonopin is like really slow release, and I feel like it helps me when I'm having, you know, palpitations or something, but I'm also, like I said, I take Effexor, and I'm still just like not sure about it because it makes me so tired. And I've been on it for like I've been back on it for like 8 weeks. So it makes me so tired. I hate that. I hate, you know, not being able to get up in the morning. So yeah, I think I might get another opinion. What if we use today to initiate a little bit of Fjord's energy? What do you think? Call in the season? Get y'all in the mood. Teresa Is Dead has already done a fall haul, like a spooky haul. So I am not the one calling it fall yet. You know, I'm not the first one, but I think that we all kind of need it for our souls right now. So I'm going to use, this is a lab sample. This is not a final shade, but I am going to add a little bit of something, a little Fjordsy today. Call it a sneak peek. We're just gonna go a little bit in this berry direction. Nice. Also kind of brings my lips into the picture, like the little bit of like blue that I have in my lips. I feel like since y'all know now that like the collab was with Finding Ferdinand and things like that, like there's not too much to spoil at this point. So I'll be happy to, I mean, I'm not gonna like completely spoil the entire thing because obviously like I don't wanna get y'all's hopes up on stuff that might not exist. That's one of the main things, but like pretty like intuitive that I would be putting something out that's a little bit more fall oriented. So there's just a little bit of like a berry color. I did say that we were going to try out a little drugstore moment today. So these are the new Shine Super Lustrous lipsticks from Revlon, and they are the best, closest dupe to the YSL, what's it called, Candy Glaze formula that I have found yet. Like they're not, I don't want to say it's a dupe, it's just the closest thing. And it's in this really nice kind of brownie mauve. How funny that like mauve and coral kind of want to go together in this look. I don't know. Oh, that's so pretty. So yeah, that's the shade Toasting Glasses. I'm a big fan. It's so comfortable too, but it's definitely giving fall in like the best way. Let's give her a spritz. Oh my God, I have to go get my nails done. I'll be back. That was abrupt. It's been 2.5 hours. I had to go get my nails done. I went and got some food and then I had to take some phone calls, and this thing is just absolutely awful. Like it hurts so much. I literally want to go like wash my makeup off just so that I can like cover myself in Vaseline and get like more time for this thing to heal and not be like this. It hoits. There. Well, silver lining, it gave me a chance to kind of wear the makeup for a little while. I did look at myself after going and getting my nails done and I was like, okay, the lip is a little much. It lasted, but it was a little much for the look. So, what shall we use? I have the Agent Provocateur black lip balm from Finding Ferdinand that, like, you know, was one of their viral products that I've never gotten to use, and they gave me one when I was in the offices yesterday, so. Oh, they gave me an unscented one though. Apparently it smells like berries. Mine doesn't smell like anything. Anyway, let's see what that looks like. My lips are so dry. Ooh, okay. That's kind of it. That's kind of it, right? I mean, my lips need an exfoliation, but it's a really nice formula. That's a black lip balm, but it's going the most beautiful color of berry. Please don't mind my peeling lips. Like I said, it's like no one's fault but my own, me and my retinol. So, any hoodles, let's go through the products that we tried today, and I do even have a little bit more of an idea of how I feel about them because I've been wearing this stuff for a few more hours. So, I like this. I think that the key to getting this to behave at its most optimal, the Glossier Stretch Fluid Foundation, is not to pile it on. I think that it has an ideal coverage level, and I don't think that like it's a disaster if you put too much on or whatever, but it's really emollient, it's really skincare based, and so you just want to bear that in mind because you might need less of it than you do other things, you know? I think it's really gorgeous, especially, I do tend to test a lot of expensive things on my channel. $34 is not nothing, but it is a Glossier price tag. That's something that, you know, was not sticker shock for anyone who shopped at Glossier before. And I think that, you know, Light 2 it gives me something really nice and flattering. It does kind of richen my skin ever so slightly without giving me like a strong line of demarcation. So if you're a skin twin, just bear all of that in mind. Here's the thing. I really like it for being the more accessible price point that it is. For this finish, for this coverage level, I have other things that I like more. Like I'm always gonna reach for the Prada because it does something really similar to this, but it wears more lightly. It's just as hydrating and it's just as much coverage and it just wears more lightly, and it is a slightly better shade match for me. And I just feel like I have gotten, especially as I've been using so many luxury fashion house kind of like foundations. A lot of other things, but mostly foundations. You get used to and kind of bratty about how high performing they all are in terms of wear time. They're all just so high performing, and I understand they're in some cases twice the price. So that's just like my philosophy. Foundation is so important and I'd rather it be something that I can really count on. But this also has advantages in the fact that it is a really, I think compared to a lot of, I don't want to like, you know, give it all the flowers in the world, but they did a good job as far as rising to the expectation of being in Sephora in terms of the shade range. Like you'd have to have a good inclusive shade range. And I think that the Prada foundation has a pretty good shade range, but like Chanel is notorious for not having good shade ranges. And so there's that. This also doesn't have a fragrance. And I think that at, like I said, the approachable price point, this is a lot for your money. Like not just like a lot of product, you still get an ounce. But it's a lot of bang for your buck in terms of like a good like skincare rich, but like pretty high performing, very like flattering foundation. The misgivings that I have are the same misgivings that I have about using the Stretch Concealer in the manner that I did today. And I think that when you're talking about just using the Stretch Concealer, the expectations are not long wearing because it's just meant to be kind of like a dib dab here kind of thing. Like it's just never been something that I think of as I'm gonna powder that and wear it, you know, to an event or something. It's supposed to look like skin. But when you put it in a foundation format, somehow my mind goes to, I should be able to powder this. It should go with everything else that I'm doing. And it did go a little muddy here. It soaked up a lot of powder. It's quite hydrating and like emollient. I feel like it is kind of soaking stuff up right here. And I did encounter the same thing underneath my eyes that I always do with the Stretch Concealer, which is that my eyeshadow is immediately creasing, like immediately creasing. I don't have oily eyelids. It's just not something that I typically have to like compensate for. I saw it in my like, you know, mirror of truth in my car and I was like, yikes. I would just say like curb your expectations for anything that's gonna be this hydrating. Like it's got so much hydration to it that the performance is kind of what you sacrifice a little bit. But I could totally see this being somebody, like anybody who is used to shopping Glossier, this is like one of the more high performing products they've ever put out. Do you know what I mean? Okay, if I were to give it a grade, it gets a B+. Like it's a B+. It's a pretty darn good foundation. And I think that it's very, very pretty. And especially for the price point, it's one of the best performing products I've seen for this price point. For sure. It's like right up there with like the Rare Beauty tinted moisturizer, like just very, very good. So those are my thoughts on the foundation. I can't say a bad word about these. I just think that they're perfect. So that's my review on the Chanel blushes. The Agent Provocateur color of the lip balm from Finding Ferdinand, like completely sealed the deal. I love it so much. It's so beautiful. It's giving fall, like it makes me really happy. And the Auric eyeshadow and the Chanel eyeshadow, they already knew that I loved those. They're just great. They're just really great. I think that the main thing that we were talking about today here was the performance of that foundation and whether my thoughts and feelings had changed as they expanded one of my favorite concealers for exactly what it is into a foundation. So hopefully that was helpful. If you'll have any other questions on it, let me know. But yeah, this is the fall energy today. Someone did have the audacity at the nail salon today to tell me that in like 10 days, it's gonna be in the 90s here. So thanks a lot for that. My sister in Christ, thank you so much for telling me that. Anyway, what am I talking about? I love y'all. If you enjoyed this, please do give it a thumbs up. I will put a video over here that I think you're going to enjoy. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe because cool people subscribe and it would be cool if you did. I love y'all so much. I hope you have, if you're in the US, well, I mean, I hope you have a great weekend anyway, but I hope everybody has a good Labor Day weekend, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye. Oh, I got my nails done. Yeah, yay, new color, yay! Bye!